And welcome back to another episode of FHL Game of the Week. We got some floor hockey for you today. After being down 1 week, we're back up with the Mallards taking on the Wheat Kings first. Right after that game, we've got a fantastic episode of Coach's Corner for you. And then our second of the doubleheader, the Swarm and the Whalers. Two squads that are greatly diminished by injuries and scratches today are taking on each other in a 3-on-3 situation. We'll head down to Ariana and Maeve at ice level.
I'm Marianne Smeltzer. And I'm Maeve McCollum. We're here interviewing Everett from the Wheat Kings.
So how are you going to score a goal today? I think I'm going to get a rebound or take a slap shot or take a wrist shot at the net. Make sure to hit the net.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you, Everett. Today, Mallards and Wheat Kings. Goaltender for the Mallards, Evan Hutchison. Skaters today, Nate the Great Baczynski, Keith Hutchison, Chase Moline, and Lucas Graver. Lots of talent here on this Mallards team. And you can see they're hungry to make a name for themselves as an expansion franchise. The Wheat Kings, one of the first teams we ever had sign up in this league over 15 years ago. Between the pipes today, Ayla Van Hazendonk, Ethan Marion, Haley Dennis, Jeremy Hutchison, and of course GM Everett Edinburgh. Just one game on the docket for you today. We're going to have Coach's Corner directly following the game today. A little bit of controversy. Letting it die out a little bit before we put these gentlemen back on the air. And we are underway. Blank slate. Mallards. Wheat Kings. First shot on net. Ayla freezes that puck. And we've got a face-off in the Wheat Kings defensive zone. Face-off won by the Mallards. Ooh, a little bit of a falter on his feet there. Nate Baczynski. Jeremy Hutchison. Ooh, Everett in the slot. That's going to take some getting used to. Seeing a net. There's our first goal of the game. Seeing an Edinburgh in a red jersey is a little bit difficult to make the change there. First goal of the game, Nate Baczynski. He's racking them up this season here in the FHL. Keeping track of his own stats, I'm sure. But I think we're probably at about 5 or 6 for the season so far. Face-off won again by the Mallards. And we're looking for the open man. There's Everett with the shot. Big save. Another big save. Hutchison standing on his head. We got 3 Hutchisons on the ice. 2 on one team, 1 on the other. And Keith freezes it there. Evan freezes it there. One of the Hutchison boys freezes it there. And we're going to have a face-off here in the Mallards' end. Face-off won that time by the Wheat Kings. There's a shot on goal. And it is stopped and not given up that rebound. Rebounds playing a big part in our higher scoring games this season. There's Graver. Big backhand shot saved by Ayla. There's Moline. And we got another frozen puck. Ayla looking sharp. Face off here in the Wheat Kings end. There we go. Mallards take it. Back to pass. Looking for the open man. That long reach of Ethan Marion. Definitely an advantage against a Mallards team mostly composed of shorter skaters. Here comes Graver. Big shot goes into the mesh. I think the referee lost the puck on that play. That's there. Face off in the Wheat Kings end. Won again by the Mallards. Moline behind the net. Looking for the open man. And there's Nate. Can't see it. Oh, looks like it must have gone up on the stage. Getting pretty good at finding that ball. It's possible that the ball is missing. Can't seem to find it. Clock's running. Somebody threw one of the harder balls down. We have switched, actually, for goalie safety purposes, to one of the squishier orange balls, one of the squishier road hockey balls. Not every goalie likes to play with a chest protector, and that's totally fine. But we do, obviously it's going to get pretty hot doing that, so what we want to do is make sure that everybody is a little bit more comfortable, and we'll use a softer ball to facilitate that. This is the first game of the week playing with the new equipment, and the bounces are different, the passes are different. Definitely something to get used to, but this is going to be the new norm on our show, on our intramural play, so no time like game of the week to get used to it. Another big shot on net by the Mallards, and here comes Marion. That reach. Can't get it by the defense. There's Graver, and he snipes one. Left side on Ayla. Lucas and Nate really pushing each other this season, calling back one at a time as they score goals. Wheat Kings with the win there. Oh, didn't even see that one go. Like I said, there's Nate with his second of the game. We're about halfway through here. Absolutely would have expected a Wheat Kings goal by now. Maybe that's just the nostalgia in me, remembering the successes of the past. There's another one. Oh, it's starting to run away with it here. Lucas. Absolutely Nate Lucas for 4 here. Moline trying to pick up his first of the game. And there he is. Looks like he's got one. That makes it 5-0. GM Chase Moline potting his first of the campaign. There's a nice shot by Ethan. It was a little bit wide. Wheat Kings struggling to keep it in the offensive zone here to get some rubber on net. So far, only about 3 shots thus far by the Wheat Kings on Hutchison. And there is 6. And that's the Hattie for Nate the Great Baczynski. Something else taking the time here. Maybe something going up on the stage. In control of that audience. Nice big audience today. Not as big as normal. I guess people are wanting to get out and play in that frosty weather. There's our first Wheat Kings goal of the game. Busting that donut. And Jeremy Hutchison scoring on Evan Hutchison. Refereed by a different Hutchison. Something. And there's another Chase Moline goal, making it 7-1. 3 more minutes left here to play. So Everett interviewed before the game, still looking for his first of the campaign. Need quite a bit to close this gap here, especially with Hutchison standing on his head. There's another frozen puck by the Mallards. Stopping all those shots. Oh, hand pass. Carey. Back to the face-off here in the Mallards' end. Less than 2.5 to go. Wheat Kings with possession. Looking for the open man. There's Graver. Oh, nice save by Ayla. Poke checking. That's what we need. And there's a 8th goal here by Mallards. Nate Baczynski, number 4, with his 4th goal of this game. Less than 2. Getting ever closer to that 9-goal differential. Big chance here for Jeremy Hutchison. Ayla's got it, and she's frozen it. Going to face off here in the Wheat Kings end. Those Mallards are really swarming the net here. And one-on-one, Ayla really holding her own. Stopping a lot of these shots. Saved by Ayla, and there's one that sneaks by. Nate, 5th goal of the game. Just about a minute left here. And that'll do it. Lucas brings that differential up to 9 goals. His hat trick complete. Coming up is Coach's Corner. Thanks for joining us for the game. The Floor Hockey Insiders. Brought to you by the Northwest Catholic District School Board, Schools of Hope, and by St. Joseph School Parent Connections, making our school a better place. Hi there, and welcome to the first edition of Floor Hockey Insiders. I'm Mr. Norino.
And I'm Mr. Stansfield.
Well, good to see you, Mr. Stansfield.
Good to see you, too. I'm actually, it's a little bit weird for me. I'm used to sitting on the other side of the table, if you know what I mean.
You want to switch?
No, I'm okay right here.
All right. Well,
change is good.
Yeah. And as we said, this is a new feature here in between our games. A couple of games going on today. First one we just finished. The Mallards absolutely mopping the floor with, I don't even want to say that other team's name. But coming up next, we're going to have the Swarm taking on the Whalers. So that should be a good one. A very diminished squad. I guess there's a volleyball tournament going on today as well?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, good luck to those teams playing today.
Indeed. And that brings us to our first topic of the day. Right now, we're working 3 games a week, and there are 10 teams. Mathematically, that doesn't really seem to work. So we're looking at a scheduling change to get everybody playing every single week, shortening those games. Big change, a lot of kinks to work out. What do you think about these bye weeks and having teams rest for a couple of weeks in between?
Well, I don't like rest, to be honest with you. I think it's good to just keep going because once you're in the groove, you're in the groove, and if you stop, then sometimes you get a little bit lazy. You get some bad habits. And well, that leads to some not so good of gameplay.
Yeah, so. And that brings us to the real star of our first game, Nate Baczynski, scoring just a barrage of goals. I'm wondering if he would be as sharp 1 week to the next if there wasn't a 1 week to the next, if he had that little bit of a space in between. I don't know, but he's looking pretty sharp thus far this season.
He is. He's probably my favorite player in the league, to be honest with you. This guy is so dynamic and so quick, and I mean, the goals say it all. Everything about him is quick. His hands, his feet. I mean, that kid he just gives her. You know. So I think I think with some rest, I think he'd still be okay. But I think, once you're in the groove, like I said, you keep on going.
Well, that brings us to the next topic here. In that game, you had the very common occurrence this year of the game is over after a 9-goal differential. Again, we've talked about parity in the past. We know that this league was planned in a very fair way. It just hasn't shown up that way on the score sheet. So is that something we stick with? Is that a random number as 9 goals, something that should stick? Some of these games are ending a little bit early. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I think if guys are going to score, let them score. 9 goals, you know what? I think if guys can get more than that, why not let them? Right? Like Nate the Great. Why limit him to only, that many goals in a game? I mean, not saying he's going to get all 9 goals, but on his team, I mean, they got a really good team this year. So why limit those guys and hold them back when they could be absolutely flourishing?
Well, I'm wondering, given the fact that in the past we have kept individual records for goals. Even one year, I think we went as far as shots on net for goal or for save percentage and everything. Obviously, with the change in dynamic from head office to the Players Association and everything that happens, kind of like 1 hour window at a time. I honestly don't even know how many goals Nate scored this season thus far. How many goals has Ryder scored? I don't know. So maybe it's something that if they're keeping track themselves, if they win 17-2, he's like, well, I got 100 goals this season. Maybe that's something, just a point of pride. Maybe somebody is keeping track of that, and they're going to pass it along, and then we get some trophies at the end of the season for that.
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to think about for sure.
I agree. Well, there's a 3D printer in the room over there. Maybe there's some trophy printing that can happen. This past weekend was the Dryden AA Paper Kings Classic, and a big congratulations first and foremost to the Pee Wee team, coached by Sean Hutchison, who took home gold in that tournament, and congratulations as well to Jason Langlis and the Adam team as well. They took home silver. Fantastic hockey. I don't know if you had a chance to go by the arena this weekend. I was there for a few games on Saturday and most of the championship Pee Wee game on Sunday, and it's some really, really fast hockey.
I didn't get a chance to go down there, unfortunately, but I heard that the announcer was sure on fire that weekend.
That was me.
So I didn't get the chance to go down there and see it, but I heard that that both teams were absolutely incredible. And I would like to send out a big congratulations to them as well. Lots of good kids from the FHL here.
That is true.
And who play on those teams. And shout out to those kids from. There's a couple of kids from Sacred Heart School. Part of the Northwest Catholic District School Board on that team as well. And so big shout out to them as well.
So yeah, Paper Kings, love that uniform. I'm a bit of a jersey hound. If you're watching out there and there's an old goalie cut that you want to get rid of that'd fit a guy like me, I take an adult XL. All right, and you wanted to talk a little bit about one of your favorite people, maybe one of the more controversial hockey topics of the year.
Yes.
I can't think of anything else that's bigger than this news.
Yeah.
Mike Babcock.
Mike Babcock, man. I tell you, I was...
nationwide uproar.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't, completely surprised or thrown off when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a great coach in the NHL. I think there's going to be lots there for him. I do, however, think it was time for change. And if we look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're off to a strong start under their new head coach Sheldon Keefe.
Really are.
A 3-0 start.
So what's your takeaway from that? Is that Tavares told the boys just stop listening to Babcock? Did they have a meeting and say, okay, give this new guy a chance and we'll actually start playing good hockey? Like, what happened there?
I think, after a while, your effectiveness as a coach starts to go downhill.
This is true.
And you know what? With a new guy coming in, it means that kind of gives other players the chance to kind of make a new impression on the coach. Mm-hmm. It's a new start for everyone, and I think they, that really got them fired up and to say, you know what, it's time that we start playing. We need to get going as a team. And for this new coach that's never played in the NHL or never coached in the NHL before, you have to show up for him.
Absolutely.
And that's what they've done.
Yeah, and quick hit on the way out. Where does he land?
Babcock? I think Babcock lands in Seattle with the new team there.
Okay.
Coming out. Yeah.
Well, are you throwing more at me? Team name? I know what they're like narrowing down to, or what they bought for domains.
Oh, jeez, I don't even know.
Kraken.
Yep.
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds is a big one I've heard. I like that one myself.
Metropolitans.
Yeah, I like the
first
Thunderbirds
American
myself.
team to win the Stanley Cup. I like Metropolitans. I think there's a perfect opportunity there because nobody wears green and white and red, and they have this beautiful 1917 barber pole you could use as a throwback when they eventually get the Winter Classic. Seattle, I would say Calgary. Everybody says Calgary, but yeah, Seattle. Seattle, I don't know. Are they going to be another Golden Knights?
We'll see.
Yeah,
hard to find a GM that's going to do the job that McPhee has done in
That's absolutely true.
in Vegas. So.
All right, well, we hope you have enjoyed our new feature here on FHL Game of the Week. And, there's all kinds of hockey insiders. It's not just Mr. Stansfield and I. Could be Mr. Rush. Could be Mr. Skillen if he makes an appearance in a supply teaching role.
I'd like to see that guy come back.
Yeah, as would I. Anybody is welcome to join us here on The Hot Stove. I've been Mr. Norino.
And I'm Mr. Stansfield.
Keep your stick on the ice. As you can see, we're just getting ready here for the Swarm taking on the Whalers. Goaltender today for the Swarm, number 4, Ben Randall. And only 2 skaters. There is a volleyball tournament going on today. Ryan Perkins and Carter Tratch on for the Swarm. For the Whalers, Noah DeLong backstopping, accompanied by number 1, Rowan Desjardins, and number 2, Julia Mitchell. So that intermediate volleyball tournament definitely taking its toll on the roster of the second game here. Back in the day, probably about 7 or 8 seasons ago, this was actually our format. We would go 2 skaters out and a goalie. And there's our first goal by Carter. It's a beauty. Going glove side on Noah. It was a time when we didn't have quite as many players coming out, but we definitely needed enough teams to make a league of it. So bringing down every squad by 1, having 2 skaters out and 1 goalie back, seemed to work. With such a youthful contingent this year, lots of grade 4s, lots of grade 5s, definitely something that would be tougher in the league today. Some of the bigger grade 8s definitely didn't have a lot of room to maneuver out there when we played some big 3-on-3, or I guess 3 skaters on 3 skaters games just a couple of seasons ago. So 1-0 for the Swarm here after about a minute and a bit. There's Julia making a play, and she's got her first goal of the game, possibly her first of the season. I'd have to go back and check our records for that. But Julia Mitchell ties it up here. And with only a minute and a half gone, it's turning into a contest very, very quickly. Into the Swarm end, Julia's got control, looking for Rowan, and cleared by Ben. Noah keeping watch there. Noah plays a pretty good traditional game. He's very much a stand-up goalie, very much a positional goalie, and he covers it up here. Face-off in the Whalers' end. Whalers, you might remember, are the team to beat that Ron and Don, or specifically Don, has picked for this season. Second of the game here for Carter. So you might be wondering how he came upon that pick. Well, if you watched the last episode, our first edition of Coach's Corner of the season, he is very much a Ryder Paquette fan, and Ryder, of course, away playing volleyball this afternoon, so unable to bring both sports into a Wednesday. Frozen here by Noah. Another face-off deep in the Whalers' end. The Ice Dogs song by Colin Hillier. That's what you're hearing over the speakers there. Incidentally, the audio by the girls, Layla and Macy, is done on the same equipment used for Junior A games at the Dryden Memorial Arena. There's Julia with the ball. Rowan playing some steady backup defense here. If we're going to mount an assault here to get over that catch-up game, we're going to have to see a little bit more offense from the Whalers here. These two ladies, it's not Julia's first season. It is Rowan's. A league definitely full of rookies this year. This is the reality of our league. One thing that you might be interested in knowing, what we have as a structure from week to week are 3 games. 3 games on a Wednesday. We got 10 teams, so that means that there are lots of bye weeks for some of these teams, and in some cases, a couple of weeks at a time. We are currently reformatting. There is a hat trick by Carter Tratch. That was a beauty. Seems to be going glove side on Noah every time. The format is changing, and with 10 teams, we need to get these teams exposed to games every week. So going from 10-minute games down to about 6 or 7 would facilitate that. So stay tuned. You might be seeing 2 games per week happening here on FHL Game of the Week. And both of those games will be from one Wednesday. And we've got Julia looking for her second of the game. Whalers playing catch-up. Game about halfway done here. And there's Rowan clearing it to the corner. Trach looking for Perkins. And here come the Whalers. Oh, fantastic chance for Rowan. Great save by Ben. And Ben clears it. Not quite far enough. The Whalers mounting quite the offense here. Behind the net, Julia looking for Rowan. Can't quite find her in the slot. She's absolutely open. Now we got some wrestling behind the net going there. Ryan and Julia looking for possession. And here come the Swarm. Huge save by Noah DeLong. Candidate for Save of the Year. Right up there with Marc-Andre Fleury's diving glove from just a few weeks ago. Julia's shot just goes wide of the net. Knowing who's away today and knowing what the potential of these teams are, these are 2 very, very intimidating teams coming down the stretch. Not playing today for the Swarm, Carter Langless and Jack Noel. 2 big goal-scoring threats. Not playing today for the Whalers, Ethan Keane and Ryder Paquette. Big scoring threats from the Whalers. So I think you probably see maybe a little bit more of an even matched game with a full roster. You might see some goals peppered in a little bit more frequently. And that looks like Ben's second goal of the game. Excuse me. That's Carter's 4th goal of the game. Second goal of the game. It's been all Carter Trach here. Looking for a record here, which I believe was set in the last game of the week by Nate Baczynski. I believe he potted 6 goals all by his lonesome for the Mallards. Very one-sided affair. I have to go back and check that, but we are live, so unable to do that at this time. Just under 3 left here. Swarm making that differential, getting ever closer to that 9 goals, which has happened a ridiculous number of times so far this season. That is a rule that we brought in years ago and never really had to use very often. These big polar losses between some of the higher echelon teams and the up and starting rookie laden teams, that is a real issue this year. Parity, not something that we were really concerned about. The format in which we get our teams chosen has not changed from the last 2 seasons. We have GMs who are seen by their peers as very strong hockey minds and strong hockey talents, and we draft them one at a time. It's definitely an activity that is balanced and done well before the season begins. Opportunities for trades and such. Another goal. This looks like Ben's first. Excuse me, Ben's playing goal. This looks like Ryan's first. Ryan Perkins potting his first of the game. So the only team that actually wasn't structured like that was the Stealth. The Stealth came in. We had 9 teams. The Stealth putting together a team of a lot of rookies kind of at the deadline, getting their papers in before the end of May. Not a lot of trades yet this season either, to be interested in that. Basically, the trade window is constantly open. There is no limit to when those deals can be made. Big shot by Rowan here. So nothing really happening yet. There are players that are leaving, that are free agents that are getting picked up. One of note, just happening this afternoon, Brody Cran from the Cruisers has been traded to another league, actually. There's a goal, a second of the day for Mr. Perkins. So we brought in an old superstar from last year's Whalers team, the year before as well, Brett McMurrick, who is going to be doing some great things here for the Cruisers, who are looking to make a name for themselves. 7-1 with just a few seconds left, and that looks like that's going to be it for us. 7-1 Swarm. This has been FHL Game of the Week. I'm Mr. Reno. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.